Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for another Queen Sugar review. And this is season 7, the final season, and this episode is episode 2. And I actually did something different this go round. I went scene by scene and did my notes, and look at this is all the scenes in this episode. Look. I mean, I was so thrown off when the credits start rolling, because I was waiting for something like momentous to happen in this episode. You guys tell me what you think. Were you feeling that same way too? Like, did the ending credits sneak up on you guys too? Like, wow. I'm super indifferent about this episode. I love this show. I know how much you guys love it, and I know how optimistic a lot of you all are about this final season and just seeing some type of win for the Borderlands, right? And I am seriously suckling off of your optimism. You know what I mean? Pacino, I'm drinking from your cup of optimism, right? Like, scooch over and give me a sip, because I don't know. I just don't know. But let's not bemoan it too much. Still super great. Wow. I mean, just the visuals in this episode were really good. I was so thrown off in the first episode, just preoccupied with what I wanted to happen, that I didn't really take the time to look at how beautiful visually the show is this season. We get to see the Great Oak a lot in so far in this season. We're seeing the Borderlands standing under the Great Oak. We get to see Hollywood and Aunt Vi underneath the Great Oak in their boat. Another Great Oak. I don't know if it's the same Great Oak, right? Like, I'm so confused as to when they're on Vi's land and when they're on Ra's land. I'm kind of confused about that. So, I don't know. It's odd. It's weird for me. You guys tell me if you're having some of the same issues sort of keeping up with where we are. Like, the land that Ra owns is very, it's beautiful and it's breathtaking. And it's hard for me to say when we're there and when we're not there. Like, I'm not sure if they're shooting it there and they're calling it another. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Like, it's just, I'm so disoriented. We're not on Ernest Borderlone's land, or we are. I'm so disoriented. Like, I'm visually disoriented, right? Everything just feels and looks so different to me in this season, and I just need to get adjusted. Having said that, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Typically, I do my reviews on Wednesday, but tomorrow I'm getting my staples out. Anywho, if you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. You guys don't forget to hit that notification bell. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. That is engagement, right? And don't forget to comment down below. How are you guys feeling about this season, man? Are you guys slightly disoriented? Like, what gives? Anywho, So we open with Vi digging through a box of memories, and she's looking for something. It appears that she's trying to either, at first I think she's trying to find some paperwork or something that is going to be used to combat what Parker and Sam Landry have going on, right? And then it appears that she's going through photos and just looking at these photos and thinking about her best friend, who is Parker's mom, who is apparently still alive, but Vi hasn't talked to her in a while. And I don't know if she just doesn't know where she is, or did they fall out? Like, what gives? Is Parker Vi's daughter? Like, what is happening here? And of course, Hollywood being Hollywood just kind of, listens to her and becomes his typical cathartic ear. That is what he does throughout this entire episode, is he's a cathartic ear for one person or another. It's one of the reasons why we love him. We see where Ra, Nova, and Micah are watching old tapes of Papa Bordelon and their mom, way back in the day when they were babies and small children, and it's on VHS. The tape, of course, has a little lag, a drag, but Micah's going to take it and digitize it so that they have these movies of their parents in this really happy moment at this really happy time on the Bordelon land as treasured memories forever. We see where Micah's in class. He's taking this class on digital photography, I think, and it's the same class that Kiki is the TA in. And he finds out not only is she the TA, but they're having a digital art display, right? And Kiki is the curator of that event. He learns a lot about digital art and the perspective of its worth, in terms of some of it is monetary and some of it helps to propel social justice, right? It helps to fund a movement that benefits the culture, benefits victims within the culture who have been unfairly treated or unjustifiably killed, that type of thing. So he talks a little bit about the perspective of worth, the teacher does, and NFTs, right? And how you can monetize your digital work through these different avenues, right? And Michael's all in. He wants to be a part of this NFT. He talks to the teacher about it. And the teacher says, he says, hey, there's a lot of different avenues, but there's one that Kiki turned me on to. And his name is Zane. And he has an NFT site, but he's kind of slippery, so be careful, but I feel like you can take care of yourself. Now we hear Kiki's name dropped maybe 3, maybe 4 times in this episode, but we don't get to see her. It just looks like Micah, the Micah character, is kind of going down the same road he was in last season. And you guys know I talked about that a little bit in my last review. It's like Micah just, I don't know. He's the one trick pony here. And I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Put it down below. We see where Prosper is at the diner, and he's talking to Hollywood about, the fact that he got Sandy to go out on a date with him, and she's been traveled all over. She's been to super fancy restaurants, including there in New Orleans. He doesn't know where to take her. She loves Jamaican food, but he can't really afford to take her to Jamaica for a first date, so Hollywood offers the real spot. Again, another cathartic ear, and another, he's here to help to solve problems. This is what Hollywood does. He's a fixer. Let's turn the real spot into a Jamaican bistro. Let's make it all kitted out to look like Jamaica, like you're having dinner on the beach in Jamaica. We'll have Vi make jerk chicken and all these lovely tasty things, a nice rum cake for dessert, drinks, set the ambiance. It'll be super, super special, right? And Prosper is like, okay, I like the way that sounds. And then they talk about, his wife. He thought his wife was his first love and was going to be his only love, but he's very sweet on Sandy. So this is important to Prosper. We see where Rob, Prosper, Nova, and Darla are, what looks like they're doing is walking the borderline land. And he's showing Mo is with them as well. She's the co-op expert. And he's telling her about the land. Of course, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful setting. And she talks to them about aeroponics. You don't need a lot of water. You can how that on her land they're growing crops with aeroponics. And of course, it's new to Prosper. I mean, heck, it's new to all of them. Nova wants to, talk with Mo a little bit more privately about her initiative, not just starting a co-op, but also building a network of co-ops, right? Mo also offers them seeds from her land, right? So that they can plant and prosper. And there's seeds that she got from her mom, right? And she tells them, I planted, harvested. These are the seeds that have been harvested from the ones I planted from my mom. I give you these seeds, and all I ask that you do is once you get your harvest, you pass those seeds on, and let's keep these seeds moving. It's a nice moment. It's a touching moment. And Nova slides in, like I said, she wants to write an article, and she cool slick makes a date to go and talk to her privately. And there people are alluding to the fact that Mo may have an eye for Nova. Nova may have an eye for Mo. But they do go to have a drink, right? She wants to have lunch. Mo says, let's have a drink. They go and have a drink at the same bar that Billie went to. And it's completely innocuous, except, they talk about the seeds, the land, how it was done in their different cultures. We find out that Mo is a Cherokee and African. She's both Black and Native American. They talk about how the propagation of seeds and how slaves had seeds and rice sewn into their hair. It was for food purposes too, but also it was to remind them of their homeland, and how a lot of the plants that we have here, the crops that we have here, are because of those same seeds that was sown into those captured, enslaved Africans' hair, right? It's a good moment. And Nova is getting text messages from Dominic. Dominic is working on something regarding the history of the land and all of this, and he's just keeping Nova abreast of what's going on. Mo peeps that, and she asks about if she has a significant other, and Nova doesn't say one way or another. She kind of tiptoes around and lightly brushes it off and just never really answers it, that type of thing. So yeah, we see where Billie is in the supermarket, and she is again swiping left on Vince, her husband. And we see where Parker is there, and she notices, and she befriends Billie. You need to answer it, give it a chance, rip the Band-Aid off, woo, woo, woo. Like I said, it's a moment where they share a bit of transparency about one another. Billie, I think, was telling the truth. Parker We don't know. And Billie asks her name. They're in the supermarket. And she says, my mother calls me Imani. And, Billie tells her name and shakes her head. Like, it's completely innocent on Billie's end because her intent is not one of ill will. Parker, on the other hand, in this moment of psychosis, like I don't even know what to say. And the reason why I call it psychosis is because she's going to do something later in this episode during the council scene for me that screams not right in the head. You know what I'm saying? Little psychotic, right? Let's move forward. Billie is none the wiser as of yet. We see where Prosper and Hollywood are having fun, planning the perfect date for Prosper. And, Prosper just tells him how sweet he is on Sandy. And it's a good moment. We see where Micah shows his teacher his photos. And it's so weird because anyway, he shows his teacher his photos. And his teacher did ask to see his photos. I think he asked to see his photos. Later on at the digital art exhibit, this is where he sees his teacher again. And now he's got his photos ready. He wants to show his teacher. And his teacher is looking at him and he's thinking to himself, oh, this is powerful. You may have something here. This really looks good. And, he wants to be a part of the show, and that's when he finds out that Kiki is curating the show. So he learns that he has to kind of go through Kiki if he wants to kind of level up. Also, the individual that he is going to be meeting with, Zane, is a Kiki referral, right? This is Kiki, but we don't get to see Kiki in this episode, right? And for me, Micah just gets more interesting when Kiki is around. Am I the only one? You guys let me know. Put it down below. We see where Vi and her protege, they're at the, this is the gentleman that is working for her now, who was started out initially working for her to pay for vandalism that he did in the cafe. Well, they become fast friends. He's making pies his way. She's making pies her way. And his pies are doing well, Vi's pies are doing well. So they kind of are bouncing off of each other and kind of challenging each other. She's traditional and he is more young and modern in the way that he does things, but they are finding a way to sort of mix the two, teach each other, show each other, and, empower each other. And she does ask him about, hey, you want to help me do this Jamaican feast? And he was like, my plantains cannot be rivaled. Like, that's what's up, right? And she was like, yeah. We talk about food, but let's talk about your mom. How's your mom? I haven't heard you mention, I haven't seen her. And he was like, oh, she's fine. He was like, is she okay? And he was like, oh, yeah, she's fine. She was like, you would tell me if something was wrong with your mom, right? Like, if something was going on, you tell me, right? And he was like, oh, yeah. Something tells me something's going on with his mom. This is the same storyline that we had with Vi in last season. I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Was she not once again helping? Is she not once again helping a damsel, a single mom damsel? Wasn't she doing that last season? Am I wrong? Y'all just let me know. Keep me straight now. You know. Let me give me a sip of optimism, child. Let's move forward. So, we see Miss Thena. She got problems at the bank. Darla talked with her about her extension, and she's so far behind. We need to go and check on your extension. They get there to the bank. Mr. Miller's there at the bank. He's the banker. He doesn't want to help. He can't help anybody. All black loans go through him. And nobody else can put their hands on the black loans, right? He likes to be the one to set all the black loans on fire, to put people out of their homes, to lie and scheme. She put the paperwork in his hand. He was like, "You got any receipts? I have no knowledge of you ever having given me anything, any paperwork about an extension." And she tells him, "You know I gave it to you. You never give me receipts," and woo woo woo. And says, "Okay, what about this other residual money that she was supposed to get?" As far as I know, they backlogged, Mr. Miller said, so there's no help you're going to get from that because we don't know when that money's going to be released. And she was like, "I can't lose my farm." And he was like, "I tell you what, if you can give me the whole payment, all that you owe in the next 48 hours, okay, we can stall everything out. We'll be good to go," right? And she was like, "Where am I gonna get $25,000 in 48 hours?" He was like, "Well, that's the deal." Meanwhile, Darling peeped another bank employee off in the corner, and it's a brother, and he is looking like he got something to say. So when they realize that they not finna get no help from Mr. Miller, and that he is waylaying Miss Thena's paperwork and really basically cornering her in a way where the land is going to be taken from her. And so Billie is there and Darla's and they were like, "Miss Thena, gather your things, darling, we're leaving." And so they do go to leave, and so does the African American employee. He gets up and goes out. Darla talks to him, and he gives her some tidbits about what's going on. Mr. Miller don't let nobody else handle the black farmers but him, right? Black loans but him, right? And he's lying. It's not right what he's doing. He gives her his card. Can't talk here, but I got some stuff I want to say about how this man is doing things. She takes the card, right? And it just feels like a little bit of hope, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like a little bit of hope? Y'all let me know. Put it down below. But hold that thought. Listen, to me, it seems like this is the ram in the bush, right? This is the ram in the bush. This is an opportunity for Miss Thena to come out on top because we got a man on the inside that's going to let us know what's really going on, right? Okay. We see where the co-opers, they meet to discuss Miss Thena's situation. Now, the dark-skinned dude, the one that had a problem with Micah being in the photo with another man, he there, I believe, but we don't hear nothing from him. When it come time to get money, he got a lot to say. When it come time to put money in the kitty to help Miss Thena, we gets mum. We gets nothing. We don't hear nothing from that character. Okay. All right, let's just move on. But Prosper has a lot to say. He talks about Mr. Miller has always been an issue. He's always been a problem, and he is not to be trusted, right? And Ra assures Miss Thena she's super worried. I would be too. You know what I'm saying? Like up all night, I can't eat, I can't sleep, worried. And he assures her we can all pool our money, our settlement money. And we're going to get you that money and get your bill paid off, right? We're going to get that done. Don't worry. And she was like, "Oh, okay." Meanwhile, I'm like, is there a fund? Are we putting it together in the Cash App? Like, how much are we short? Like, you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? You go to make this promise, but we don't see the action behind it. Okay, let's prove our point. All right. Ra vows to get Miss Thena that $25,000. We see where Micah goes to see Zane at this. It's like one of those work suites where, you know, everybody, private contractors come and they work and they brainstorm and it's open concept desks, all of that. This is where he works. This is the NFT site. And he and Micah first meet. You know, they get the brother dap, you know, that that dab, they do that, shows him around, and you know, he is just kind of trying to feel Micah out. When he first meets him, he does mention Davis and how much he really liked Davis playing ball. And Micah's like, well, tell me how to, you know, how I can get put on. Once again, I need to see your photos, okay? And Michael's like, oh, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I could get you those photos. Micah loves the vibe there. He wants to be a part of that energy. We see everybody down at the courthouse. Sam Landry is talking to Parker, and Vi and Hollywood walk up to Parker, and Vi tells her, your mother would be ashamed of you, baby. And Parker gets sassy at the mouth, and Vi was like, first of all, I don't give a good gosh darn who your mama is. Don't take that tone with me, okay? I'll pluck every last one of your eyebrows out, ma'am. You don't understand. I scratched eyes out for less, right? Sam Landry just standing there, right? Because he don't want none of that venom. They go to walk off, and Sam says something to her about it's over, just let it go. This is going to be done, right? We're here at the city council vote, right? That's not an injunction. It's a city council vote. I'm not really sure how the city council overturns what the state has deemed as a historical site, but we're not going to pick at these scabs, right? Vi tells him, our back has been up against the wall before, and we always fight. Well, that's why we're here in this final season, to see you guys finally and at last fight, Vi. So she goes on inside the courtroom, and you know, the head of the council summarizes what's going on, and calls Nova up to speak. Nova has done better. Nova has had better speeches. She is a very powerful, impactful speaker, right? And for them not to have visuals, for them not to have individuals, survivors, family members who survived the Thibodeau massacre, and have direct memory, for you not to have any of these things there. You don't have anyone reading firsthand accounts. You don't have any of this there. We just have this brief little speech about we're going to fight and honor the land, and that's my family's land, and we need to honor the bodies that are buried there. You know, Parker comes up, and her speech isn't much better, but she levels it up by, you know, referencing this heart locket that's around her neck and how dear it is to her and her grandmother's grandmother and her mother's mother's mother. And then she cracking her voice and, excuse me for a moment. Nova board alone, and I want the same thing, and that's to honor the past, but also honor the future. Oh, it's impactful. Everybody's just like, Billie sitting out there like, I know you lying, right? She goes and sits down. She's clearly won the hearts. Like, there's no recess. There's no recess. We don't take 5. We don't look at all the paperwork again. We don't do none of that. And nobody else is speaking. Nobody. Ain't nobody here from the state, from the historical society. Where's Dominic? Dominic done sent a text. He still doesn't have anything concrete yet. What are you researching, sir? What are you researching? Do we know? Did y'all hear? Did I miss it? What's going on? They vote right there. One person votes for keep the land historical, and everybody else votes on the panel to turn the land over to Landry's and let them build basically a concrete mall, or open air mall, and run a road through the property. Right? We're going to exhume the bones and give them a proper burial. Right? You're going to erase the memory of what happened there. That's basically what's going to happen. Once you move them bones, it's never going to be discussed again. Never. Right? But it's over. It's said. It's said and done. It's over. And once again, the Landrys and all of the people in the parish that cared half an inch All the people that stood up and supposedly, supposed to have impact on the council, that they all are there to say they don't want the land to change. They're just all standing there dumbfounded, looking crazy, while Parker and Sam Landry kind of gloat and celebrate. And then Parker turns around and looks at Billie and says, "Did you call him?" And Billie is like, "Mother, son, you got my..." Right? I was like, okay. Meetings adjourned. Nova goes over and grabs Parker by the arm and says, do you know what you're doing? Or what the heck are you doing? Or what are you thinking? Or what's going on? Something she says is supposed to have impact. And Parker is like, we want the same things. Just move the bones, Nova. Parker then walks out and says, "Bye, Billie." Then Nova says to Ra, of course he's disgusted. "This isn't over. Don't worry, this isn't over." I don't know, it just kind of feels like it's over. Like every opportunity you guys have had to make impact, that the writers have had to make impact, it just falls flat. Every bit of hope is deflated in this really slow, sad, painful way. And again, I know it's meant to tell the story about about the injustice that has been done, and how banks have taken black people's lands and homes and possessions for years. I do get that. I really, really do. I get that. But Vi taking this stance where we're going to always fight. How are you guys fighting? Okay, let's talk about how they are fighting, right? We see where Vi and Hollywood are outside in the true north, in their boat, true north, under the great oak, child, and they are talking about, sailing together and being alone. She loves a full house, but she loves for them to be together by themselves and enjoying themselves and having a great time. This is something that they've always dreamed of, traveling and just spending time together. It's a moment. It is not fighting, but it's a moment. It's fine. Let's move forward. We see where Zane drops by Micah. Micah is digitizing the Borderlone tapes, and Zane stops by. Michael's got a beautiful apartment, really, really nice. And Zane comes in, and he's brought, a hospitable beverage to share. Micah notes that it's the good stuff. Go ahead and take your shoes off. Now, when he comes in now, they're not dapping, they're hugging. Right? Okay. Micah, hey, I want to see those photos. Micah comes over with his pad and he's showing his photos, and Zane is going through and he sees the photos. Same photos he shows the teacher, and Zane says to him when he sees the photos, "Is that your boyfriend?" And Micah's like, "What? No, that's just a friend of mine." He was like, "Oh, okay." Okay, he was like, "Yeah, I think we've got some people that would be interested in your work," right? Again, the goal is to sell this digital art. There are a lot of people who use this digital art in advertisements, and they're basically buying the rights to this work, right? And so, they stand up, and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." They hug again, and then he grabs Micah's face, and he's just right there on Micah. Like, I was like, okay. Here's the thing. I don't really even mind the whole storyline, like Micah being tried, once again. I don't even mind that, but to what end? Like, what are we doing? Like, you call the guy slimy, and then he does appear to be pushing up on Micah. Like, haven't we done this before? What does it do to the lifestyle to to show it in this way. You get what I'm saying? Like, this guy's a slime ball. Like, really? Like, you get what I'm saying, doesn't it? Okay, so we see where Nova and Billie are sitting on the back of Rod's truck. Again, I don't know where they are, if they're on the borderline land, because they are drinking and being nostalgic about how they could always drink there and smoke and cuss and all of that. It was the only safe place they could be and do all these things and hang out as friends, right? I don't know if they're on Vi's land, if they're on borderline land. I don't know. If y'all know, put it down below. We see where Nova asked Billie about law school. What happened to you going to law school? And Billie says life, babies, so on and so forth. And Nova tells her that when she talked to Mo earlier about protests and how it had impact and made change, she's thinking about staging a protest on the borderline land. She's thinking about it. Dominic's supposed to be working on something, right? She's just, batting around the idea of doing a protest on the land, and Billie tells her, go for it. Just get it done, right? Yeah, because you guys have been to the city council. Billie is commiserating about how she thought Parker was a good friend and he tricked her, right? Like, you guys are not on high alert at all. Not at all. It's like, oh yeah, we took another hit. Let's have a picnic. Right? Losing our land, losing our rights, super horrible injustice. Like, but let's go for ice cream, right? Okay. We see where Micah learns from Zane back down at the NFT spot. He learns that he has sold a photo for $10K, and he and Zane are just hugging up a storm, and it's just I don't know. Oh, I mean, it's been hours. It has literally been hours. Whatever, right? They best friends all of a sudden, right? Like, it's crazy. I don't know. Anywho, we see where Vi and Hollywood make a very, very special first date for Prosper and Sandy. They've got it set up. Like I said, a lot of greenery and lights, and they bring the dishes out, and they've got the accents, and it's another moment of happiness. Also, not fighting, not working on anything to save this land, not working on anything to save this woman's property. Like, no, everybody's going about their day, going about their life. Like, it's gonna work out. Like, fingers crossed, toes crossed, eyes crossed, hoping and wishing and hoping and wishing that it's all gonna work out, right? Yeah. Prosper and Sandy. Sandy is so impressed, and she gives Prosper a couple of 2-3 sugar bombs. Mwah. Mwah. And Prosper, I was like, Prosper, you not gonna slip of the tongue, are you? Okay, now be a gentleman. Then we see where Ra and Darla are home. He's home with the baby. She's gone to a meeting, and they reminisce about their first date, and they look at the photos, the digitized photos now of his mom and his dad, and he proclaims to love her forever when Prosper calls, and we find out that there's something going on down in Miss Parthena's house, right? Get down there, it's the middle of the doggone night, and the sheriff department is down there setting her out. Now, I don't know if she boxed her things up or they boxed her things up, but they calling boxes out. Hollywood is there, Prosper is there. They loading up their various vehicles with all her property. The sheriff tells her he's been given orders to get that house vacated that night. I think we're just short of her 48 hours. So basically, he told her 48 hours. They didn't get anything in writing. They have nothing in writing. Darla walks up and she has the papers for the extension. Why would the sheriff take the papers for, like, okay. Do you have a receipt that says you had 48 hours? That they was not finna do nothing with that property for 48 hours? Do you have a receipt that says that? See, I mean, we acting like they took advantage of Miss Thena, but she had Billie, who had some law school experience, and you there. And y'all didn't know to get that in writing? Whatever, child. It is what it is. Okay, so they sitting her out. They sitting her out, and they're saying by the end of the day, it's dark outside. We already at the end of the day. Whatever they leave in the house gonna go up for auction. Everybody's hugging her. Miss Thena saying, where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna go? Vi doing the same role she's always done. Oh, don't worry about it. You gonna be all right. You gonna have a place to go, right? Didn't Hollywood get a few million or so dollars from that oil spill, that tanker he worked on? Child, don't get me started. It ain't his money. I mean, he don't have to give his money up. Maybe he don't have much left. I don't know. I really don't. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Do Miss Theta have to be sat out? Did she have to be sat out? Really? That's how the episode ends. That is it. That's how the episode ends. Like, for them to have all of this calamitous stuff happen in this episode and then just kind of go back to life as it is, I don't know. It's bizarre. It is really bizarre. Now that push has come to shove, things are super, super bad. Next week, I think we're going to have the protest. You guys tell me what you think of this episode. Do you guys understand where I'm coming from when I talk about Micah? When I talk about Vi? Like, this is the character. The character is a caregiver and you know, kind-hearted and tender-hearted and hospitable and a person of service in terms of Vi. We get it. We get it. When are we gonna suit up, huh, and go to Mickey Freaky War? I am so tired of seeing them sit around with their jaws agape, like, what do you? What happened? What are we doing? Right? Like, what? Go to war. Right? Why are we sipping lemonade? Huh? Why are we sipping lemonade? Let's go to war. Can we see it? Just a hint of war? Just a touch of war? This episode 2, right? Are we going to take a long defeated road down to episode 8, and then all of this magical stuff is going to happen in the background, and then episode 10, the final episode, it's going to be like, oh, we saved the land. You don't need to know how. You don't need to know why. We're just going to give you some bullcocky story about how someone pushed a button and pulled a lever and voila, save the land. Like, can we see our people fight? We've seen us mourn. We've seen us hopeless. We've seen us be weasels and snakes and venomous and vile. Can we see our people go to war and win? Take those legal steps? Make smart decisions? Can we see that? It happens. Can we see it? Oh, yes, the pain happens. The hopelessness happens. But the wins happen too. Can we see it? Just episode 2. Another sip of optimism. Y'all tell me what you think. Put it down below. Listen, and until next time, honeybees. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I holla.